Visible just overhauled their service, but is it so good that it puts every other prepaid carrier to shame, or just a trap to lead you to spend way more money than you intended to? What's good, everybody? It's your boy Everton, and I've been a customer of Visible for like 3 years plus now, and it's been pretty good. I am on the normal baseline Visible plan, but Visible did reach out to me, letting me know that, hey, they have all these like upgrades that they've done to the Visible Plus plan, and I am going to go over that. But not only am I going to go over the upgrades, but I'm actually going to tell you the things that you need to know. I feel like being a little bit more transparent. So I'm going to break all of that down to you. Also, like I said, I am a consumer of the Visible base plan. Now I have had an opportunity, because they did send me out a SIM card to test the upgraded Visible Plus plan. And I'm going to also talk to you about their data performance, call quality, my assessment of the things that I think that they do well, and some of the things that I think they need to improve upon. But let's go ahead and talk about it. So one of the biggest things that they've introduced is Global Pass. Now, Global Pass is essentially international roaming, where you can use your service in another country, and they support up to 140 countries, which is simply amazing. So there is a flat rate of $10 a day, and you get 2 gigabytes of data to use and unlimited talk and text, and it's per 24 hours. So what do you actually need to know about this? Well, first, it is an exclusive Visible Plus member option. So you have to be on Visible Plus to be able to utilize this, and you do get 1 complimentary pass per month, which basically means that if you travel to another country, the first time that you use that service, the clock starts for 24 hours, and then you will not be charged anything, which I'm a big fan of, and I'll explain that a little bit later. So you have to go into the app and enable auto pay, then agree to Global Pass, and then you will have it set up. So here are the things that you really need to understand about this feature. If you go into 2 countries in one day, it does count as 2 separate passes. Let's just say that you're trying to go to China and you have to fly to Australia, and you have a layover for 2 hours. You're going to be in Australia for 2 hours. Then you get to China a few hours later. So within that 24 hours, if you are in 2 different countries and you do use Data Pass, then for each country, it counts as 2 instances. So you'd be using essentially Australia for like your first day, that's complimentary. Then in China, a few hours later, within the same 24 hours, you will be charged the daily rate if you do use the service. So just understand that it is per country and every 24 hours. I don't know if a lot of you guys have seen that article that came out about a T-Mobile customer that went overseas, they used your phone, and they came back to a bill of $78,000. That is, I ain't gonna lie, I'd file bankruptcy immediately, right? Secondly, it does initiate once your phone service becomes active or utilize it at any point in time. Now, you do pay for the ability to send and receive calls, send and receive text messages. So receiving calls and receiving text messages does initiate the day pass. So if you have somebody back home while you're internationally traveling, they send you a text message, you will be charged $10 if you're in another country. Now, the way that you solve for this is putting your phone in airplane mode. That is the only way to do this. I suggest doing that. It's just the only way to avoid it if you're not intending on utilizing it. But once again, you do get a free day when you first get there per month. So next one is premium hotspotting. Visible has increased the hotspotting allotment of data that you can get per second from 5 megabytes per second to 10 megabytes per second. This is awesome. 5 megabytes of data is good enough to like stream or, a video, on HD, but it's kind of pushing the limit towards watching HD on YouTube. But you really couldn't do too much else effectively. Now by doubling that speed, it gives you the ability to kind of do 2 things at once. Hey, I can respond to an email while I'm listening to a podcast or streaming something on YouTube or Netflix. It's just a better experience, and I'm a fan of them actually like increasing this. We've always had unlimited hotspot data throughout the month, but by doubling the bandwidth, it just makes it a lot more effective. And I think that's something that they should do once the network capacity opens up. Make the plan better. Unlimited data and roaming while in Canada and Mexico has been upgraded from half a gigabyte to 2 gigabytes per day. Now, this is a big deal for me. I live in San Antonio, Texas. I'm about 2 hours away from Mexico, and I also have family in Canada. I go to Canada on the shortest month of the year. I will have 56 gigabytes of high-speed data, and it also resets every day. So once I use up my 2 gigabytes, I am on 3G speeds, and the next day I'm right back with the fast speeds. But I think this gives us such a relief, and it's built into the Visible Plus plan. Also for Visible Plus, they do have cellular connectivity built in. Previously, it cost $10. That, if you had that enabled, that additional fee will be removed, and now it's built into the plan. So I have a couple friends who actually have cellular smartwatches, and they love it. It frees them from not having to walk around with their watch. So it's amazing. And the last upgrade is connection protection, which essentially means that if you do get laid off, if you're facing a layoff, which seems to be happening a lot, especially in like the tech spaces and different industries, you can keep your service. You can apply to keep your service for up to 3 months, where you'll have uninterrupted service. Now, this has been available on Visible, but they're making it permanent now, and it's something that they're really proud of. And to be honest with you, that brings me so much peace of mind. Now, essentially, I mean, I don't know if any of you guys have faced a layoff before, but I have. The first thing you really think about after everything is settled is, what are you gonna cut out? Like gym memberships, streaming services, all the extras kind of get cut out, and you're kind of in baseline mode right now. But the one thing that I can't cut out is my cell phone service, right? I need that to communicate with future employers and things like that. So knowing that the expenses that I would have for my cell phone can get allocated to other essential resources I'm gonna need for a time because my financial situation has changed, is a big deal. So yeah, I mean, that's a huge ease of mind. So all these upgrades seem really good, but I'm gonna also say that I don't care how many add-ons you have. If the product itself isn't good, then the perks make no difference to me. Now, luckily, I have had a really good experience with Visible Plus. One of the things that I really want to talk about here is the fact that they have priority data on the Visible Plus plan. Now, I've recently, if you've watched my channel, I have multiple carriers. I test carriers a lot so that I can make these videos. I have another carrier that I utilize. I'm not going to say their name right now, but they don't have priority data. And my city population has been growing, and I think that's impacting the ability to use it in more populated little areas. Like there's a shopping center that I use, and my service is almost unusable when I go there with that carrier. But Visible doesn't have that issue. Now, let me be clear. I typically haven't had Visible Plus. I've been using the Visible base plan. So it just seems like their infrastructure is better by that area. But I can definitely tell you that if that other plan did have priority data, then I wouldn't have that issue, right? I wouldn't be running into slowdowns because the network is too congested. I wouldn't have that issue. And I go there a lot. It's starting to get a lot more annoying. So the fact that Visible Plus has priority, if I were to go to another place where Visible has a lot of congestion, I wouldn't be deprioritized when I'm actually utilizing my cell phone service. And that is important. Like, just to be clear, when I go to that place where that it's congestion, I don't have service. Like, it's not even like super slow. It goes to a halt with my other carrier. With Visible, with priority data, that would not have happened. So I did take the service outside to run some speed tests and things like that. And to be honest with you, I didn't really go too far out of my area. I just walked across the parking lot and stuff like that. I went to a couple businesses outside, and to be honest with you, I had connection to the ultra wideband network, which is essentially goes up to the millimeter wave, and it is faster than my home fiber network. And I only have the 300 plan. I'm not balling like that, but at the same time, it's a really, really good service. So I want to give some critique here. Now, I have seen this service go back to 4G LTE a little bit more frequently than I'm used to seeing other carriers. Now, this is the way that the service is intended to work. Let me just be clear. Like, it's supposed to go to the best performing network. It doesn't necessarily mean that there's no 5G available. I've been in the same place and it's been switching from 5G to 4G LTE, and I've run a speed test on both, and 4G LTE performs better than the 5G. So I wanted to go to the best performing network, but I don't think that's the final solution, right? We should be making the 5G more robust and more available. So talking about how the service performs, because I'm all about practicality, these synthetic benchmarks don't always tell you how good the service will actually perform. So when I actually went on YouTube and tried to play 4K 60 frames per second, that's a lot more data, and it did struggle with it. And I actually turned on a VPN so that the network wouldn't know what I'm actually streaming, just in case we're limiting it. And it did struggle with 4K 60 frames per second. When I did do it normally with just regular 4K, it was like flawless. No, very little lag time. It just worked excellently. But I just wanted to point that out from my experience. It did struggle with 4K 60 frames per second videos, which I don't stream a lot, but I did do it in this setting to try to test limitations on it. So one thing I do want to talk about is call quality. And I have tested other services, and I do have other services where sometimes people are like, hey man, what'd you say? What'd you say? Like, and with those other services, I sometimes have call quality issues in my area. With Visible, they have mastered it. I've actually hung up with another carrier and called my friends, and they're like, "Oh, wait, bro, that's way better." So, call quality, if that is a major concern with you, if you take a lot of phone calls and you want it to be clear and pristine, I can definitely tell you that Visible has its hands down. It is a phone at the end of the day. They have the phone call quality down pat. Now, last thing I want to talk about is customer service. Now, customer service is a bit of a topic of controversy for Visible because they don't have a phone number that you can call like other carriers. Their customer service is initiated through chat. And so if you do need assistance, you have to talk to somebody via the chat. And then if it's unsolvable, you can actually schedule a call or you can work with them via email. But initially it's through chat. Now, I've had to contact Visible customer service 2 times. One was actually recently during this testing, but I've had to contact them 1 time before, and I've been able to get my solution with just the chat. Now, I'm not a engineer or anything like that, but I'm pretty tech savvy. What I basically mean by that is that I search for resolutions before contacting customer service. So I'll go on the internet and try to do some things, and if I can't, then I'll go to contact Visible. And you know what? The first time that I had an issue, it was a phone compatibility situation with eSIM, and I was able to get a SIM shipped out to me via chat, and I think it was wrapped up in maybe 4 to 5 minutes, and they literally overnighted me a SIM, and I popped it in there because my Galaxy S23 wasn't compatible with their eSIM for some reason. And the second issue that I had was with their voicemail app. Now, they do have a voicemail worked perfectly fine, but they have an app where you can basically play selection of which voicemail that you want, and that wasn't working for me. So I contacted them via the chat, and they were able to reset the voicemail, and it worked. But that was resolved in I think about 2 minutes. Now, I have contacted other companies' customer service where I've been on there for them for 15 minutes trying to get a resolution. I did, but it took a very long time. The point that I'm trying to make is that Visible not having a phone number that you can call is not a plus. It's not. You remove the service, but their chat is so effective that it's not a negative either. I was able to get 2 of my issues resolved, 2 issues that most people would need to call somebody for. It's not something like, oh, I just want to know something, and just have a general question. Their chat, I thought it was a pretty realistic issue where they would have to get involved, and they were able to get it accomplished and resolved via the chat. So I do think that it is a very well thought out system. I've had a positive experience with it. So I'm going to say that Visible is now my favorite, and I'm going to say, in my experience opinion, the best product that's out there. The service is good and fast. It's faster than my home internet. The latency is low as heck. So, they have international options. You have a smartwatch plan built in. So if you have a cellular smartwatch, it already comes with it. You just have to connect it. I don't necessarily have an LTE watch, but at the same time, I have friends that are like, yo, dude, you gotta get into it. It's amazing. It sets you free, and you don't feel unconnected if you leave your smartphone at home when you're going out doing something. So it's just amazing. You have the international pass that is just so simple. Everything about Visible, in my opinion, is not only a good product, but it is simple to initiate. The last thing I want to do is try to figure out how my cell phone service works or how a feature works. And even after it's explained to me, I'm still like, wait, I have several questions. No, it's very easy. Even the referral plan is easy. You just put your referral code out there, you get $20 off your plan, and you can bank 12 of them. There are other companies that have this complicated scheme where like, okay, well, based on what you buy, then you get $10 or I get 40. Like, it's just weird, right? So with Visible, things are just simple. It's fully unlimited and you can pay for priority with all the perks. Or if you go to the base plan, which, you know, offers you a lot of value, you can just get the unlimited talk and text. So the first time ever, as of right now, I'm going to say that Visible, in my opinion, is the best prepaid plan there when it comes to the product, ease of using it, the performance, the cost, and the extras for the fringe benefits that you get from using the service. There's nothing, in my opinion, that's coming close. But let me know what you guys think in the comments. Is Visible with their new perks, are they the best? What is your carrier, and what do you like about your carrier? But until next time, I'm Everton, and I do videos Everton's way. Peace.